All right, this is a snippet from the Senate Judiciary Committee. Former Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein testifies on Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was from June 3rd.
By Mr. Rosenstein in May of 2018, and you described the way the system's supposed to work. And what brings us here is the fact it didn't work that way. We know now, based on the Horowitz report that was delivered to this committee in December 2019, that the FISA warrant application process did not work the way Mr. Rosenstein described it in 2018. What do we know? We know that exculpatory information was withheld from the court. We know, according to Mr. Horowitz, without the Steele dossier, paid for by the Democratic Party, prepared by a former British agent working with a Russian subsource, without that dossier, there would have been no warrant issued against Carter Page. We also now know that an email was doctored to get the FISA warrant by a lawyer at the FBI. So why are we here? We're trying to find out how that happened. We're trying to find out how Crossfire Hurricane got so off script.
Wow,
And we're
give it a name.
desire
Sounds like a soap opera.
is to make sure it never happens again. Every American should be concerned by the fact that the Inspector General found criminal wrongdoing, abuse of power, and a warrant application against Carter Page, a advisor to the Trump campaign, and we're here to try to find out who knew what when. Find out, did Mr. Rosenstein, did you know that the subsource disavowed the dossier in January 2017 to the FBI? Says a bunch of bar talk and hearsay. Did you know that the FBI lawyer doctored an email showing a relationship between Mr. Page and the CIA? He changed it where there was no relationship. Did you know that? And if you didn't know it, why? And we're going to ask everybody who signed the warrant, did you know? And if you didn't know, why? And now that you do know, how do you feel about it? And I want the country to understand that the Mueller
Feelings
investigation
should not count here.
was allowed to go forward with bipartisan support. I remember Senator Coons and Booker coming to me, and Senator Grassley and Senator Tillis, saying, let's make sure that Mueller can do his job without interference. The president was pretty hot when it came to the Mueller investigation, and we came up with legislation to protect the general counsel from being dismissed without cause. Let the country know, let the president know, it was important for Mueller to do his job. Now it's important to find out what the hell happened. How could it gotten to be where it wound up being? What evidence, if any, was there in May of 2017 when Mueller was appointed by Mr. Rosenstein that anybody on the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians? Was there a lawful predicate to appoint Mueller to begin with? And we'll be looking at that. And we'll be looking at how the warrant was signed over and over by the highest ranking officials in this country and given to a FISA court on 4 different occasions over a period of months. And it was full of lies and criminally altered. I hope you want to know that. I sure do. And you got to remember, the people running the Mueller investigation are the same people that were running Crossfire Hurricane, at least until they got fired. So the warrant application that Mr. Rosenstein signed in June of 2017, the last application against Carter Page, who prepared the application? Remember Strzok and Page? March 3rd, 2016. God, Trump is a loathsome human being. Strzok, oh my God, he's an idiot. Strzok, God, Hillary should win 100 million to nothing. These are the people in charge of the Mueller investigation. The FBI lawyer who altered the email after the election said, "Viva la resistance." This is the FBI lawyer in charge of overseeing the Mueller investigation. And finally, on August 8, 2016, Page says to Strzok, he's not ever going to become president, right? Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop it. This is why we're here. We're going to get to the bottom of all this.
Sure.
And I just want to start by noting my surprise to hear from my Democrat colleagues that the Mueller report is now of no consequence. After what they put this country through for years on end, endless investigations, millions of dollars spent, an impeachment inquiry against the President of the United States, and now we hear from person after person on that side of the dais that the Mueller report is of no consequence. No consequence? I kind of happen to think that the successful weaponization of the FBI by a presidential campaign, by the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, for the first time in American history, getting the FBI to submit to a federal court false information, to get a wiretap during a presidential campaign. I kind of think that that is a relevant piece of information that maybe ought to be within the jurisdiction and the cognition of this committee. Of course, now my Democrat friends say there's nothing to see here, because now we have one of the largest scandals ever to engulf the FBI and the DOJ. Let me just remind you, Mr. Rosenstein, about what the FISA court said when it found out that it had been systematically lied to by the FBI and the Department of Justice. This is what the court said, sua sponte, on its own, and I quote, "The FBI's handling of the Carter Page applications, as portrayed in the Inspector General's report, was antithetical to the heightened duty of candor that is owed to the court. The frequency with which these representations made by FBI personnel turned out to be unsupported or contradicted by information in their possession and with which they withheld information detrimental to their case calls into question whether information contained in other FBI applications is reliable," end quote. In other words, the FISA court now wonders if it can trust anything that the FBI says. Anything. Now, you signed off on a FISA application to a federal court in an ex parte proceeding, which means the other side didn't have any chance to argue it. You signed off on it. It had 17 material misstatements, falsehoods, omissions. You signed off on it. You also said at the time you thought it was an above average application.
Correct.
How could you sign off on something with this number of misrepresentations that the FISA court later came back and said, this destroys our trust in the FBI? You signed off on it personally. How could this happen?
I approved the submission of it, and 4 federal judges signed off on it too, Senator, because, like me, they believed that the information had been verified and was accurate.
Did they have a duty to verify the information?
No, the agents had a duty to verify.
Oh, so you did not have a duty to verify the information?
I had a
It's your
duty.
name on the application.
Well, I had a duty to make sure it had been verified.
Did you rubber stamp it?
Senator, the Deputy Attorney General or the Attorney General...
Just answer my question. Did you rubber stamp?
I
You
didn't.
said a second ago to Senator Cruz, you
No,
said I
didn't
did rubber stamp it.
If you'd like me to explain, I will, but I certainly...
But you also testified today that you didn't read it. So I'm curious.
No, I didn't say-
How is it? Would you like us to have your testimony read back to you? You said I can't say that I read it. I don't think I read every page. I mean...
Yes, I did say that, yes. But,
Okay, so you didn't rubber stamp it, but you didn't read it.
you know, Senator, I have to explain the process.
Oh, I think we're familiar with the process.
No,
The OIG gave us the process. By the time it got to you, you had 17 critical errors, falsehoods, omissions, leading a federal court to say they have never seen anything like this and they can't trust anything else the FBI says, and you signed off on it. Let me ask you this. Who are we to hold responsible? You're saying it's not you.
No, I'm saying, Senator, that I am accountable for it. But the question is, why did it happen? Now, I'm no longer in the department, but there are people who are there who I expect will figure out why it happened and will fix the problem. So
This is the state of our government, folks. No wonder we're in such bad shape so quickly. And this is nothing new with the FBI. Stuff's been going on since before Ruby Ridge. And now we got an Attorney General, Barr, who helped get the sniper off. This has just been corrupt, all the alphabet agencies from the get-go.